Good afternoon and hello everyone. If you'd like to put the next slide up. So look, Micro-X is all about miniaturizing X-ray. This picture here just describes the concept. What you see there, the big white thing, is a conventional X-ray tube, about 25 kilograms. Our technology allows us to shrink that at the same performance to about 1.5 kilograms, which obviously makes the whole business of designing an X-ray machine an awful lot easier. The next slide. So strategy in this, we've got a breakthrough technology. Lots of people all over the world have been trying to develop this carbon nanotube X-ray source. We've got there first. The question is, how do we monetize that? The answer is we're looking for a very early commercial success. And we're looking for the low-hanging fruit, the products that give the highest margin by providing with this new technology the biggest customer benefit. We're trying to commercialize high in the value chain just so that we can leverage the margins that we earn based on the core technology. The four products that that are our choice for that low-hanging fruit, high margin products are, I'll come to in a minute. If you look at the next slide, please. That's just a corporate snapshot of the company where we are today. You can obviously see these slides later. I won't go through in detail. The next slide, another snapshot just of what our factory looks like here in Adelaide. Highly vertically integrated, all our design and manufacturing in-house here. We've established a subsidiary company in Seattle, Washington, which is where we're managing some of our growing US-based business from. Next slide. So I'll go through the four different business units that we're structured in now, just to give you an idea of the products and the direction. This was obviously our first mobile digital radiography. Next slide. It's basically a much lighter mobile X-ray cart to be used in hospitals and a variety of other locations. To give you an idea, it competes against systems that are 500 or 600 kilograms. Our technology means the whole cart, the whole imaging system is 95 kilograms, which allows us use in deployed military hospitals, temporary facilities. That was very, very important in COVID times. But also there's a service here in Adelaide doing door-to-door X-ray where you can get X-rayed in your front living room with our product. So the lightweight size and just allows a whole new mobility in X-ray. Next slide. Our strategy for commercializing this is multiple paths to market. We have some direct sales here in Australia. We're going through independent distributors in North America and Europe. And we have some one at the moment and negotiating other major OEM global partners. So technology well proven. We've got over 250 units in service in 30 countries around the world. As I said, COVID was very good for us because mobile X-ray was a primary tool on the front line of diagnosing COVID. And a major new commercial push we're starting this year. Next slide, please. So the next business unit we have, we're calling the X-ray camera, and this is all about seeing differently. Next slide. Basically, this was something that we were asked to develop. We were given $2.5 billion by the Australian Defence Force to see if there was a way we could avoid what you're seeing in these pictures. If you've got an unexploded bomb, terrorist weapon, the first thing that the bomb disposal technician needs is an X-ray to see what it is and how to deal with it. At the moment, there's no choice but with conventional X-ray to go up and get a lot closer to the device than you'd really like to be. Our technology is designed to try and avoid that. Next slide. And this is what we successfully developed for the Defence Force, and we're now commercializing. We call it a camera because it works like a camera. It's self-contained. There's no separate detector that you have to put behind the object of interest. So like a camera, you just point and shoot. The nice thing about that is that allows this unit to be picked up by a bomb disposal robot and taken down range. So the human doesn't need to go anywhere near the dangerous bit. And we get a high beamed to a safe distance, a high resolution image of what's inside the backpack. Next slide. So preparing to launch this exciting new product in a few months. The addressable market is huge, 1.8 billion, because it turns out there's a very large number of, there's 468 police bomb squads just in North America. Each bomb squad obviously would want one of these. It's a marketing dream because however we choose to price this, it's a rare bomb squad commander who decides that it's too expensive and he's going to ask his lads to go into harm's way and do it the old-fashioned way. So I was actually at a bomb technicians conference in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago, and the feedback on this product was just amazing. So a launch around the middle of the year. We'll be doing some customer trials in the lead up. We're already doing a lot of pre-sales and marketing to give that the most exciting launch. Next slide, please. From that security application, and as you see from that, Micro-X is commercializing simultaneously in both medical and security markets. We've won 2 interesting contracts from the US Department of Homeland Security, basically the TSA for those who've been through American airports. Next slide. Basically, we're trying to avoid this problem, which you might have experienced. The concept is to shrink the Xray component so that it can be part of a self-service checkpoint. That's the vision of the TSA. Actually, this was a vision that was shared with the British government. We won 2 contracts from the British Department for Transport, and that gives birth to the next slide. The concept that we can shrink Xray so it becomes opponent. It's like passport control with the sliding gates. You use your boarding card to access, read your passport, scans your face, scans your body, and this little Xray package gives a CT image of your bag, which can be checked by automated software. So we've had 2 contracts from the TSA to develop this. The TSA very excited because this is going to change the future of checkpoints in every American airport, and obviously from there, the world. Next slide. And lastly, our back to the medical. Another factor of another benefit of this CNT technology is the ability to electronically switch the tubes on and off. If you look at the next slide. Instead of a picture at the left, if you've ever enjoyed a CT X-ray, you don't actually understand underneath the covers all that mass of detectors and high voltage power supplies and wiring and X-ray tubes. That whole gantry is rotating at about 200 revolutions per minute around the patient. Which explains why they're very unreliable and very expensive. Our concept here is to, as you can see in the middle picture, we have 29 little miniature X-ray tubes which we electronically flash on and off in turn, creating the illusion of a rotating X-ray beam, but with no moving parts. We're commercializing this with a contract we've got from the Australian government, the Australian Medical Future Fund, through the Australian Stroke Alliance, and the target is brain imaging for stroke diagnosis. If you have a stroke, it's either a clot or a bleed. 3/4 of strokes are clots, and they are very effectively treated by an early administration of a drug called TPA. but you can't, it's a clot-busting drug. You can't inject it unless you know that there's no bleed, because if there is a bleed, you'll kill the patient by them bleeding out. So the diagnosis has to be a CT image to rule out the bleed. We can do that with a product that is a fraction of the size and weight and cost. Next slide. The goal is to be able to make that, because it is so small and so light and so cheap, to be able to put that in every ambulance, which gives us an absolutely huge addressable market. We hope to be doing patient trials within about two years from now. So next slide. The nice thing is that the benefits, the health benefits of early stroke diagnosis and treatment is being proved by these giant vans which contain conventional CTs. So the world of stroke diagnosis is rapidly moving to the point that this is the new standard of care. Next slide. So Micro-X basically is one company, but 4 different businesses. That's our focus. Each one, I've addressed them in the sequence with which we'll be rolling them out. You can see the dates to first sales and the large addressable markets for each of these product opportunities. Next slide. And we've got a lot of initiatives in the short term and long term in train, providing good news flow. And that is our last slide. I'll leave it open for question.
Thanks, Peter. I've always found this a fascinating business. In terms of your technology, so with the technology, there's obviously some clear advantages in terms of being portable, its size, its weight. Does it have any cost benefits when you go and sell it compared to what hospitals, etc., use normally?
Yeah, the cost benefit comes from the fact that the equipment can become much smaller and therefore less complex and therefore less expensive. So it's the simplicity and small size makes them simpler and therefore a lot cheaper. And it allows you to use it in new places that you can't use large bulky equipment.
And can you talk us through the sales process? I mean, you are dealing with, airports and hospitals, kind of government-like bodies. Does that make the sales process protracted compared to, selling to an ordinary market?
Look, in medical markets are very conservative, so the sales process is always slower than you'd like. On the security side, particularly with the airports, the fact that all American airport security is run by the TSA, they're paying us to develop this. So we're already, in cahoots with the organization that's going to fund it. In the medical side, we're making huge progress with our sales efforts, opening up new distributorships, and we'll be planning to do the same with the Argus Xray camera.
And what's the time frame to that sales process?
Slide a couple of slides ago gave you our expectations on first sales.
Sure.
Our first product, mobile ER, is already in the market, so it's a build up there. First sales on the camera will happen just after the middle of this year, probably July, and we'll start to build as we get units into test in some of the big the people like the FBI that we met just recently are really keen to test this and evaluate it, and then the sales follow after that.
And it seems like your share price has been under pressure. So there's some concerned shareholders there. You do have $20 million in cash, and looking through the top 20, it looks like Regal's sold down. What's the future look like?
I've given up trying to predict our sales. Particularly in a volatile market where we're a bit nervous of growth stocks. Our company just goes from strength to strength. in terms of the technology, the progress towards developing these products, and now the commercial and arrangements with distribution to get them into the market. So our share price is not reflecting the company's future. That's just getting stronger and stronger.
You know what shareholders are like? They're always impatient. And can you talk to the competitive market and who do you compete with?
We're trying in these. Our first product, the bedside imager, does have competitors, because that was an established market in which we wanted to prove this new technology. But the other three products have no competitors. I mean, nobody can do the things that we're doing in those three. That's the whole point. And because there's no competitors, we're price makers, not price takers. And the margins that flow from those are delightfully generous.
And I believe that you've donated a product into the Ukraine. Is that right?
That's right. We've had a number of sales from the US. Sadly, not from Australia, but in the US, we've dispatched, I think, about 11 units now into the Ukraine to help rebuild the medical capabilities that have been destroyed there, and help them set up, particularly because it's so lightweight. It's a very suitable unit for emergency deployed hospitals in that kind of war environment where there's very little infrastructure. It's battery operated and easily mobile and can do the job.
Great, Peter. That's all we have time for. A really great story, incredible technology. I'd love to get you back on sometime soon.
Thank you. Always happy to talk about it.
Thank you. See you later.